Welcome to my channel. Now, let's get right into it. Now, I'm going to show a video of one of our politicians, Hakeem Jeffries, lying through his teeth. Now, time is undefeated. Now, the ghost of Democratic past is behind us because the old Democrats, you know, the racists, the segregations, they're either too old or they already transitioned. So now you have the House Negroes, and literally the House Negroes, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is going on record, and he's doing the classic political playbook because he was asked a question about the integrity of the voting in the state of California. Now, we understand that, we had an election, a primary election, and then we watched the mail-in ballots come in. You had, Spencer Pratt, he was looking like he was going to be in the runoff or overtime with Karen Bass because she did not get the 50+1. So she's the first elected official or the first mayor in the city of Los Angeles since 2005 to not win or to get the 50+1, because if she got the 50+1, she'll be the mayor, would not have to run, continue to campaign or raise funds or anything like that. But it's going to be a runoff between her and Nithya Raman, and it's going to get real dirty. It's already getting dirty. But before we move on, the people have spoken. We have to, the court of public opinion is real. So we have to get in front of these things because we got to let the Democrats know that, we're not going to take it. We're not ignorant. We're not dumb. We're smart and we understand. So I'm going to let you hear a video of Hakeem Jeffries, and he's going on record. He was asked about the integrity of our elections, and this is what he had to say. Let me go ahead and turn this up for you here. And just listen to this, and I'm telling you, it's time. Okay, it is time because our elected officials is playing this game, and we got their playbook. So I'm gonna let you hear it through its entirety, and then I'm going to bounce back and do what I do to make it make sense. So this is Hakeem Jeffries. Check this out.
Oh, thank you so much. Earlier in the week, you told me that there is no election fraud happening in California, and that anyone who questions the outcome of the election is a conspiracy theorist. However, there are now homeless people on Skid Row admitting they were bribed with cash, drugs, other incentives to vote Democrat in elections. Does that change your stance at all on whether or not these elections are rigged?
Listen, I'm unfamiliar with those reports, and I wouldn't be surprised if those are part of some far-right conspiracy theory being peddled on the internet to try to convince the American people that there's evidence of fraud in California. By the way, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, when asked about the situation in California, couldn't produce any evidence, said there was none. And yet still, in my view, irresponsibly tried to peddle and fan the flames of a conspiracy theory in terms of California. Why are they doing this? Why don't Republicans just actually focus on trying to convince the American people that Republicans are committed to turning their lives around? It's because Republicans have been such a disaster in terms of the economy, healthcare, immigration enforcement, the Epstein scandal, and the ongoing cover-up that is being led by the Trump administration, and of course, the reckless and costly Republican war of choice that is failing in real time, as the American people have concluded in the Middle East. So instead of Republicans actually trying to make a difference in the lives of the American people, which we are committed to doing as House Democrats, Republicans are peddling conspiracy theories and then actually saying we don't have any evidence to support our claims, which is what Speaker Mike Johnson had to say the other day.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay, so you heard what he said, okay? And he says that basically anyone that questions the integrity of the votes, it's a conspiracy theorist. So now I'm going to go ahead and play it, and then I'm going to, give the receipts and the evidence, since Mike Johnson's not doing it or the elected officials not. So the court of public opinion is picking up the case. And we do have a open divorce proceedings with the Democratic Party. So you're going to have to hit the subscription and to tap in and to be in to know with the ongoing class action that we got going on. But check this out.
Oh, thank you so much. Earlier in the week, you told me that there is no election fraud happening in California, and that.
So he said there is. She basically said that he said there is no election fraud in California.
Anyone who questions the outcome.
Anyone who questions the outcome
of the election is a conspiracy theorist.
Is a conspiracy theorist. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I look at these conspiracies and then I turn these conspiracy theories into theorems, which is facts, okay? And there's going to be a theorem when we finish this video today.
However, there are now homeless people on Skid Row admitting they were bribed with cash, drugs, other incentives to vote Democrat in elections. Does that change your stance at all on whether or not these elections?
The accusations is that homeless people were actually bribed, okay, to vote, to register, and actually paid, okay?
Listen, I'm unfamiliar with those reports.
He says he's unfamiliar with the reports. So here's the reports right here. We heard what he said, and it's the classic, deny, attack, questioning the investigation, shift, the claim. It's classic. Deny, deflect, attack, distract, delay, minimize, and move on. So they're hoping that time just moves on. And our job is that's why I'm going to roll it out real slow. Okay. Because in the city of Los Angeles, there's a woman by the name of Brenda Lee Brown Armstrong, 64 years old. Now, she appeared in the Santa Ana courtroom after agreeing to plead guilty to paying people, homeless people, to vote. And that's a fact. She pled guilty. So if you pled guilty, you're guilty. If you're innocent, you're innocent. Okay? Now, let me see. The signed petitions were returned to coordinators. Okay, here we go. Some of the signatures were collected in downtown LA Skid Row. Federal prosecutors alleged that Brown Armstrong paid $2 to $3 and offered cigarettes and phone cards in exchange for signatures and petitions, and also registering to vote. Now, if you're a homeless individual and you're, registering to vote and you're homeless, where's your address? Okay. So now to add another piece or another component to, the charges or the evidence is that these same individuals have, they basically registered to vote under the same address. And when they registered to vote under these same addresses, when the state of California sent out to every person that's registered to vote a mail-in ballot, where does the ballot go? Okay, now we've all heard of what we call ballot harvesting. And just to make it, this is the female right here. No disrespect to her, but this is her. She pled guilty to basically paying individuals to register, paying individuals to sign petitions, and it is what it is. So when you really want to pay attention and know what's going on in the state of California, more importantly in the city of Los Angeles, is ballot harvesting. It's ballot harvesting. Okay. California law allows, under California law, a voter may authorize any person of their choosing to return their vote by mail ballot, meaning anybody that has a mail-in ballot, it's legal in the state of California to give that to somebody else. Now, what they do with it, are they requesting it? Are they paying you for it? It does not matter. Okay, but the key is third party. Now, number two, the second bullet point. Now, the person collecting the ballot cannot be paid based on the number of ballots they collect. Okay, number three, the ballot must be returned promptly and no later than the legal deadline. So, apparently, a lot of these ballots were turned in because Bass jumped out to a lead. Spencer Pratt was right there on her heels. And then Nithya Raman was in third place, basically double digits behind Bass and Spencer Pratt. But all of a sudden, when they start counting those ballots, her and Bass kept growing. Spencer didn't get anything because they're playing the game in terms of what we call ballot harvesting. Okay, let me see here. Now, bottom line, is ballot harvesting illegal in California? And the answer is no. Okay. Is fraudulent ballot harvesting illegal? Absolutely. Okay. California permits third-party ballot collection, but election fraud related to those ballots remains a crime punishable under the state law. And just to make it make sense in terms of the evidence, documented evidence that he basically said that does not exist. Okay, paying people to register to vote. Okay, Los Angeles 2026, a long-time initiative, signature gatherer from Los Angeles agreed to plead guilty after federal prosecutors alleged that she paid homeless individuals on Skid Row to register to vote. Prosecutors emphasized that the individuals were generally eligible voters. The illegal act was paying people in connection with their voter registrations. So if ballot harvesting is not illegal, then there's going to have to be some form, some reforms when it comes to our voting. Okay, now a mandatory ID. Okay, but in terms of the ballot harvesting, utilizing the third-party outlets, this is something moving forward that we're going to have to handle, if we want to keep, integrity in our voting. Because I know the Democrats, they claim foul play or they do the classic deny, deflect, attack, distract, delay, minimize, and move on, because that's their, template, because this is the only way that they can actually compete. Because moving forward in fair elections, there's no way the Democrats can actually, win an election, citywide, statewide. Okay, because it's crazy that it took, it's taking weeks to count ballots for just one particular city, but it's taking, entire countries days just to basically come up and find out, who the elected official will be based on same day voting and counting of the ballots. So there's going to be reforms. So since Hakeem Jeffries said that there's no evidence of any of this wrongdoing, that's a lie. We have the evidence here. An individual already pled guilty. So if they pled guilty, there you have it. And then they want to, when they deny, deflect, distract, delay, minimize, and move on. And, it's crazy because, you always hear them say there's no evidence of widespread cheating. There's no evidence of widespread. I mean, it was by mistake, but it's not widespread. Basically saying that is like saying I didn't hit her that hard, but you pretty much hit her. Okay. And then what's going on with the Southern Poverty Law Center, they basically was at Capitol Hill, getting, had hearings about their connections with these hate groups in terms of funneling out, approximately $4 million to these organizations, these hate groups, meaning funding hate. And I watched the hearings, but I truly believe without a shadow of a doubt that there's going to be a plea. There's going to be a plea. There's going to be a fine. And I'm speaking on the Southern Poverty Law Center, because they're not denying the allegations. They're just trying to justify and rationalize what they did. So they actually, are guilty of funding, or giving money to hate groups and hate organizations, more importantly, the KKK, Aryan Brotherhood, the Knights of Kings, or whatever the situation is. But they're, white supremacist, neo-Nazi groups. And they are on record, and they did not deny, the CEO did not deny at all the accusations. They're trying to justify and rationalize, but this is why there's going to be some form of plea, and there's going to be a heavy fine on the Southern Poverty Law Center. And with that being said, so here's your evidence. Individual pled guilty already for ballot harvesting. A longtime signature initiative gatherer from Los Angeles agreed to plead guilty after federal prosecutors alleged that she paid homeless individuals on Skid Row to register to vote. And the prosecutors emphasized that the individuals were generally eligible voters. The illegal act was paying people in the connection with the voting activity. And, and that's real. And these are images. So just to let you know that she did plead guilty, and this is less than a month old. So these are facts, and it is what it is. So with that being said, when my man right here says that there's no evidence, that is a lie, because there's already Exhibit A. There's already an individual that pled guilty of these crimes. So let me see here. Brown Armstrong of Marina Del Rey was identified by federal authorities in court documents as a longtime petition circulator She collected voter signatures on official petitions that qualify initiative referendums and recalls for election ballots, according to court documents. Now, the signed petitions were then returned to coordinators who provided payment for signatures that could be attributed to registered voters. Now, some of the signatures were collected in downtown LA Skid Row. Federal prosecutors alleged that Brown Armstrong paid $2 to $3 and offered cigarettes and phone cards in exchange of these signatures and the registration forms for them to register to vote. And that's Exhibit A. So hit the notification, hit the like, let's go ahead and get into this algorithm, and then be on the lookout for Exhibit B. So with that being said, Hakeem Jeffries is lying to it through his face. And basically he's using the political or the Democratic playbook: deny, deflect, attack, distract, delay, minimize, and hopefully the story moves on, but we're not going nowhere because we're going to keep the same energy. So with that being said, you have an amazing day. This is your man, Bushan Glover, signing out. A Better Black America TV, A Better Black America radio show on Facebook, and all the other platforms. That being said, have an amazing day. Peace out.